the smoke-filled clouds of the 303, all the way down to the 505. This is the Dro Bro Show with Remo Vinci, Grimx, and Soul Doja. Yeah, the Dro Bro Show.
Pocket juice.
Oh shit.
What
What's up,
up, everybody?
This is Mr. Vicious, Remo Vinci, back with another episode of the Dro Bro Show. And this is episode 15, my other favorite number, kind of. This is like the Jokic Mellow edition, and these fools are giving it the quadruple thumbs up. Check it. Hell yeah. So welcome, everybody, and welcome my two fellow Dro Bros. What's cracking?
What up, everybody? Back at it, episode 15, and it's a special one. We're going to cover somebody that's kind of dear to a lot of people and been around for a minute.
Speaking of which, Grim, you want to let them all know what's cracking and tell them all what's up?
How's it going, guys? Back at it again. Check out our hot tag episode that just dropped.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, we Grim and I did just drop our first episode of our wrestling take of the little spinoff of the Dro Bro Show called the Hot Tag. So peep that shit out and let us know what you think about it. But why don't you let them know, Grim, who we're going to talk about today? Who's our artist profile of the month?
Talking about Bone Thugs and Harmony today. Great
Even
group.
though you're gone, still got
What?
looking bone.
What does
Yeah.
what does Bone stand for?
Who you asking?
Anybody? Do you guys know it? It's the acronym, right?
I didn't see any of that in my shit. But in the beginning,
What?
yeah, in the beginning, I saw that it was the Band-Aid Boys, and then it was Bone Enterprises, and it was an acronym, but I didn't see what it was, what it meant.
It
What it
stands
meant?
for Butt It Out, NIGGA, every day.
Okay,
And then
all right.
Thugs was True Humbling, United Gathering Souls, and I forgot what the harmony was, but they have an acronym for that one too.
Damn, I didn't know
Yeah.
it was like that. That's cool shit.
Yeah, those fools put a lot of thought into their everything.
Well, as we get into Bone, Bone started up in '91 out of Cleveland, and they put Cleveland on the map. Like Cleveland, they're like gods in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
It's like how Compton is to a lot of NWA and stuff like that. Cleveland definitely holds on to Bone as their main dude. So as Bone, there's 5 members of Bone. But did you guys know that Flesh wasn't originally signed to Ruthless, so he wasn't part of the original incarnation of it? Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew he was out later.
He was added later, even though he was always with him. Anyway, it goes Crazy Bone, Busy Bone, Lazy and Flesh are brothers, and then Wish is their cousin, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Y'all heard any different?
Crazy shot. Was it Wish or Flesh?
Wish
Wish, yeah.
with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't read that shit.
That's because you gotta hear that story from them. They probably don't have that shit. And
That's true.
it's actually in a song. I remember Crazy Bones solo album. I'll send it to you, but that song's pretty tight. But
Okay.
Crazy Bones like talking to all of them, and he's like kind of reminiscing, and yeah, it's a pretty badass song.
That is badass. I like that. I'm gonna have to check that shit out. So and then Wish. They just mentioned Wish also. So Wish, Flesh, Crazy, Lazy, and Busy is our 5 members. And I think Busy's the baby, if I'm not mistaken. And you can tell too, because in the way he is and a lot of the traits that he possesses seems to be like the youngest child kind of syndrome, doesn't it?
So fun fact about Busy, that not a lot of people know, and I watched this thing about him, and I was actually kind of shocked. But Busy, he was on what was it? It was the one with John Walsh. What show is
Yeah,
that?
America's
Most
Most Wanted.
Wanted. That's
Yeah.
right.
He got.
It's-
He was
Okay.
like a. He
He
was
was
like a.
kidnapped by his dad, and he was 10 years old, and it was the neighbors who saw the episode and they called in, and he and his sister were finally found.
How crazy is that? That's insane, bro.
Well, it it gets a little darker, kind of what happened to him and stuff. He talked about it and been open about it, but he did like get molested and you know, then had stuff happen to him during that kidnapping.
That's right. I did see some videos that he was opening up and talking about that kind of stuff. Man, how crazy. How crazy. So obviously growing up from Cleveland back in those days and dealing with the things they had to deal with, you know, these dudes came up gangster. They came up thugged out. You know what I mean? So they were a representation of what they were surrounded by. You know, they were a reflection of their surroundings. And I feel like their niche or whatever was that whole harmonization between them all, right? Like to be able to throw some old school like doo-wop style harmonies with fast, rapid fire chopper style flows and mix the two together and like do it flawlessly. That was kind of unheard of before. You could see some of the
Well,
melodic stuff with G-Funk, and then you could see some of the Spitfire stuff, like you know what Twista was doing and some other Mexican rappers. But man, when they combine the
they,
two,
they were saying I was watching they did like this latest interview. It's like 2 hours long and shit. Like for it was like a BET branch interview or whatever. But anyways, they were saying like they were all raised on like jazz music and like gospel music and stuff. So that's where like that harmony and all that came from, because from their parents and their grandparents, and they said they they just love that music. So that's what they and then they mix their style of rapping with and then that's but yeah, it's a very unique. And as someone who's rapped before, like that shit's hard to do. To like
but
just bust it out and start singing. Jeez.
but as the listener, like it takes your ears in all these awesome directions. You know what I mean? The flows and the melodies and the highs and lows of it all, and it's almost like an orchestra. You know what I mean? It's a real
Yeah.
beautiful way of doing things. Tell me
The,
something about it, Greg.
the melody is, I feel like what made them unique, but it's also what I feel makes people associate them to more West Coast style.
I think a combination of that and their production. They got hooked up right away when they first hooked up with Ruthless. They got hooked up with DJ Unique, and he was one of their main producers. And a lot of the bangers that we all love and the tracks that are near and dear to us has that dude all over it. You know what I mean? So his sound is kind of a West Coast kind of sound. It reminds me kind of a DJ Quick a little bit, just a little different.
So do you guys know that there's a documentary, and I don't know the name of it, but Crazy's talking about it, and he's saying how they ended up getting their deal with Ruthless was he rapped the verse for the love of money that he sings to Easy over the phone. Easy told him to meet him. Well, they met up with him at the concert, and Easy dodged him. They ran up on him at another concert, at which point he was basically forced to, do what he told them that he was going to do.
So I heard the story a little different. I heard that they were promised a phone call back from him, and they decided to kind of take it in their own hands, and they took a Greyhound bus to L.A. And it was like a 3-day bus. They scrounged up all their loot to go and take this bus ride. And they go there and they couldn't find him. And they were there for like one thing says it doesn't really specify a time frame, and then another one that I read said like 4 months looking for this dude. But they found out that Easy was actually going to be back in Cleveland to do a show. So they come back to Cleveland to try and hook up with them, and that's when it also gets conflicted for some of the stuff I read. One thing said it was a phone call situation, but I heard it was Crazy spitting a verse from Flow Motion, and then I heard another one saying that it wasn't a phone call. It was like a backstage at a show kind of thing, and they rap for him. So I'm not sure which one is the true version.
From
And
the
this is where it would. I'm sorry to cut you off, Doge, but
oh,
this is where it would have come in real handy for our home. We have a homeboy named Dro that's actually like a bone historian, Hydro, and we were trying to get him on today as a special guest, but I guess we had some conflicts and weren't able to make that happen. But he could have been here to let us know for sure, because if anybody would know, what do you got, Doge?
they they did take the bus, and then they did like call him, and they got a hold of him like at the record label Ruthless, and then they also did run up on him on backstage rapping too because they kept like not the getting back playing like basically like tag team with the phones and shit like that. But
Yeah.
so all that stuff is true. Like they did do all. Yeah.
So that happens, and then they get signed. So once they get signed, um, let me see here. That's when they come out with "Creeping on a Come Up," their first album, and that's '94. I got here, and
That
that
was the
album. Go ahead, my brother.
that was the I'll say that was the first song that album No Surrender. That was the first that I ever heard of Bone, and that's what. And I was just like, what the? They were rapping so fast and never heard nothing like that. It just blew my mind. Yeah.
So didn't you say in a previous episode that in that little that small town that you grew up in, there the little spot where you got your tapes from it, didn't you say that Bone was one of the very first hip hop or
It
rap
was
tapes that
it
you
was
got?
two. That was Tupac.
I know, but didn't you say Bone was one of the first ones?
Well, it was. I first heard Tupac and then Bone.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
So is that the album that it was? Was it Creeping on a Come Up?
But my homie had it. My homie Carlos, he had that shit. He's like, check
Oh,
this
okay.
out, buddy. I was like, what? And I was
So,
like, what are they saying?
but right away, like, what was it that grabbed your attention? Was it the
The
melody,
style,
the speed, or was it all of it together?
the speed, and then it was just a unique style. Like I've always thought unique styles is dope. Like I don't
Yeah,
want to hear the same old sound the same. You know what I mean? Like just like
absolutely.
with people. You know what I mean? Like we're all different. You should shine on your differentness. Like you know what I mean? Don't try to be like everybody else.
No doubt, no doubt. That's where our shine lies. What about you, Grim? What was your first exposure to Bone?
I got their CDs from freaking back when they did those Columbia House deals. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
Get
I
15
do remember that, like through the mail, right?
and but you read the fine print and it tells you you have to buy 5 albums at full price freaking within the year.
I got some cool stuff out of some of those, dog, where you get like some cool free shit. I found some loopholes in some of those. At least I thought I did. I don't know. I was just a kid, and I remember getting some CDs and some. I got a Tupac action figure one time, and I don't know if you guys remember that. I might have had it when we first met and stuff for a little while, but I
I
didn't. I
remember
don't have it anymore, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty dope. But anyway, so was Bone an album that you had ordered from Columbia House, and that's where you
yeah,
first saw them, or so
yeah. I'd already knew of them, I guess, because we heard of them on the radio.
was it like radio exposure? Okay,
Yeah,
so like my first exposure that I remember at least that was significant was when I was a little bit older already. I was about like I want to say 12, and I was having like a birthday thing, right? And one of my friends, our homeboy Bill, actually, his little brother was invited. Me and Bill weren't actually kicking it at the time. We weren't having
Oh,
friends. So his little brother Dizzy, he actually he was invited to my little birthday thing, and he couldn't make it or whatever, and he felt bad, so he wanted to give me a gift anyway, and he gifted me that Bone Thugs the Resurrection album, and that was the first Bone album I ever had, and that was my first real exposure to it. Because I mean, just like you guys, I had heard of Bone, and obviously like Thuggish Ruggish Bone and all those kind of things were like songs I had heard in like pop culture or in some of my surroundings. Like I had older cousins and brothers that listened to this shit, so I could hear some of it there. But the first significance that I actually remember was at that point. And that album was pretty tight, bro. And that shit stayed in my deck for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's some pretty tight out songs on that album.
Yep. Well, Bone has 10 studio albums as a group. And like we discussed on off the air before we started here, they also each member has their own solo career with multiple releases to their names also. We're gonna leave.
And
Go ahead.
they have the whole record labels like the Mo Thugs and
Yep.
Thug Line, and I don't know,
where
7 signed records. I think Busy has.
The
But
busy
there's
one. Yeah,
projects under those too, you know? It's like
absolutely. So we're
goes
not
on and on.
right. So we're
Well,
not
that's where
focused so much on them as individual rappers and their careers. We're gonna focus more on them collectively. So go ahead, Grim. My fault.
that's what I was gonna say, that their careers got a little bit outrageous when they started involving the whole family and stuff, the Thug family and all that.
Well, I mean, I think like most things, once you start making a name for yourself, then it's like you're trying to bring your people with you. And then once you bring your people with you, you got to keep feeding everybody continuously forever now. And that takes a lot of different stuff and it takes you in a lot of different avenues. And I feel like some of these dudes obviously they started all this shit when they were young as fuck, right? So when you're young and you have all this money thrown at you, all this responsibility thrown at you, all these crazy left turns and curveballs and shit thrown at you, you're gonna come out kind of fucked up on the other side. You know what I mean? So I don't blame them, bro. And right away, like I remember videos or whatever where or songs where Busy's talking about how Easy had him all fucked up and drunk and shit, and he was just a little kid, you know, and dog
Yeah.
had some crazy upbringing. So how could you not come out kind of twisted on the other side? So, you know, their careers definitely went a little sideways, especially Busy, you know.
Right. That's
Get,
what the
to
money
get help.
does to us. Makes us go sideways.
Well, the Flesh was actually the first one to release a solo, and that was in '96, and it was Thug's album. And I don't really remember any of this kind of stuff. Like I said, this was all, you know, when I
What?
was a bit too young. You know what I mean? So my first exposure to Bone was when had all reunited on the Resurrection album. So you guys need to kind of tell me how you felt about Bone, you know, before when Flesh was locked up, because he got locked up for 11 years. It said in 2000, he got sentenced for assault with a firearm and criminal possession of a weapon in 2000.
I think didn't they all go to, or at least a few of them went to prison or jail for a while for weapons charges. I know
That's
Tracy did on a few.
That's the only
Uh,
one I saw was Flesh. I'm not sure what any of the others had
But
to do.
Flashlight had to serve a big sentence because he was like violating and charge after charge. So they slammed him with that shit. And the
Yeah.
last one, he pulled like it was like something like he pulled an AK out on his neighbor out of the baby's crib or some crazy story.
Damn,
And he was all high on PCP. He's like, yeah, I was wilding out in those days.
that was
so
Flesh.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn, that's a trip.
Because Flash
the
was like
only,
more like a gangster in the streets, like the most, you know,
Well, he was
like
right, so
like
of course I'm sure he was more thugged out.
that was crazy. But funny story is that the only individual careers I ever followed was Busy and Crazy, and the reason why I followed Busy is because Antone, who was one of our first guests on the show, he actually got me into Busy.
Okay, so he was bumping some Busy solo stuff like The Gift
Yeah,
and whatnot.
yeah, he
Okay,
actually let me borrow it for the first time, and I burned it back in the
dude,
day where you burn CDs.
hell yeah.
we we used to wait, is it The Gift? No, it's Heaven's Movie. We used to listen to that shit while we were tripping on shrooms. That was mine and Jeremiah's thing. And then he has a song on there too that talks about that stuff.
When he's tripping.
Yeah, he's like gobble up these. He's like, give me the orange juice. You know, he's like tired of
Oh,
tripping and
yeah,
stuff. We're like, yeah.
yeah,
And
I
then
do
But no,
remember.
but Busy was my favorite because like back when I first like was getting exposed to rap, like it was always like a black like dominated like thing. And then like I see this light skinned fool like rapping all tight, and I go, what? Like other people could get in there and shit. And then I came into like Frost, and you know what I mean. I started getting more. But to me, it was just like a all like dominated like kind of like black culture and stuff. You know, it's like I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, Busy Bone. He's light skinned, homie. Hey, but a funny story before I forget. Um, fucking I think it was fucking Dro. or somebody told me about Busy was gonna be partying at the Fort Collins. Were you there for that?
No, but I remember the story. I remember this whole thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyways, he was supposed to show up at this house party supposedly before the concert was the next day, and he was chilling with these fools. And we're like, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? Everybody always says that shit. It was like $30 just to get in the door. It was like crazy. But I do remember Ray was with me. I think he was driving. We had a Denver Nuggets shirt, it was our mission to give him the Denver Nuggets shirt. But so we went in. He was in the garage. He had a bottle of Henny, and he was asking people not to smoke weed around him because he was on probation and shit. Like, but he was like drunken styling, like to me. He was just like freestyling, sip his drink, and then he'd stop and be like, start preaching like God stuff on us. Like, it was a trip. Like, and he would like, God's in all of you. Be right. He would just like, and then some other dude would freestyle with him, and then like he would just stop. And it was like, oh man, it was cool. But I mean, it was only like for about 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, but it was cool like seeing him not on stage performing, but as a normal person. Like when we
Right?
when we got to chill with Tech Nine, it's like it's
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, so
Super
anyways,
dope.
we couldn't get around him because if you went close to him, you had to freestyle. But we were like, we were freestyling, but we ain't gonna freestyle in front of Busy Bone. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. But anyway, we should have. But anyways, I would have killed it. No, just
That's
but
awesome, bro.
but anyways, he was trying to leave real quick. He was leaving real quick, and I'm like, Ray, give him the shirt, give him the shirt. So like Ray bomb rushed through to everybody and gave it to him, and he was like so cool about it. He's like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I'll wear this at the show, and blah blah blah. And we're like, he didn't wear it at the show, but it was cool. He took the shirt. but
Man, I was
it
just
was
gonna ask about that.
it was a fresh tour because he did this album called, I think it's called Fallen, or no, wait, I'll figure it out later. But anyways,
Yeah,
it was a live album that was done with all live instruments. Like, it was his first live album. And so he was touring for that. So like he had a live band while he was rapping. So it was pretty fresh.
that's dope, bro. That's hella dope. And I remember this story. And I'm glad you brought that up again because we already brought up Dro once. But like once I got into high school and like started getting more into my own style, you know what I mean, of rapping and my influences and all of that kind of stuff, I started to pay a lot more attention to Bone, and individually and collectively. And homie Hydro, that dude, bro, like again, is a Bone historian, and that dude put me on. You know what I'm saying? He schooled me from all kinds of shit, and he was like Grim was talking about burning discs. Homeboy Dro was hooking me up with all kinds of cool stuff, and I listened to a lot of dope stuff in the very beginning when they were still Bone Enterprises, and when they were battling against like Twista, and there was some of that rivalry going on when he was Tongue Twista and some cool shit like that. He showed me a lot of cool stuff. So I owe a lot of my Bone fandom to homie Dro. So thank you, my brother. I
Hey,
appreciate you.
hey, speaking
That
on Dro. Oh, go ahead.
there's a song called "The Fastest Rap" that's Twista and Busy.
Yeah, and Crazy's on it too, I think, right?
There is three people, but I don't know who the third is. I want to say it's Busta.
Oh, okay.
Oh, freaking Dro. Speaking of him buying, burning CDs. I remember when they first were like learning how to MP3 format them. So instead of like 20 tracks, you could put like 80 on there, and they were
Yeah.
like compressed different. And dude, he'd give me like hundreds of unreleased Bone songs and remix it. Like you were saying, like there was so much more Bone that I didn't
Yep.
even know. You know what I mean? I knew the mainstream albums, but I didn't know about all. They have so much, a huge, massive catalog that's like it's and that full Dro probably has it all.
Yep. And like this we discussed this earlier too. Like a lot of these artist profiles, we're not as on it as we would like to be with some of this stuff. So we'll probably revisit some of these people at some point in the future. You know what I mean? So it would be nice to have, multiple episodes where we're talking about different things, have different people on, you know what I mean? And we could get a little further into the conversation. So, you know, um, as far as their solos and like them as individuals, I feel like Bone is kind of like the Ninja Turtles. Remember how we talked about the Ninja Turtles in the episode with Relate and whatnot? I was thinking about how everybody has their guy, their turtle, right? And it's kind of the same thing with Bone,
Oh
bro.
yeah.
Everybody has their bone, you know what I mean? So who are your guys' bones?
Busy
Doggy
and crazy,
Bone.
Say it again, Grim.
busy and crazy. But see, I like Crazy because of his verse in Mo Murder.
Okay. Now, to me, it always comes down to Busy and Crazy as the dopest. Like when people ask me about who the tightest bone is, but I gotta be real with you. Just recently, since I've been listening to some of their other stuff, I've been hearing some shit from Lazy, bro, that's just got me saying,
He's
hell yeah,
dope
man.
too.
Like I feel you, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't always
Uh,
feeling Lazy like that. So, and Wish does his
uh,
thing, but he's kind of like a little bit background, you know what I mean? Same with Flesh a little bit.
I like Flesh a lot because he raps fast as fuck and it's hard to understand what he says. Which I like them tongue twisting freaking raps. Like that first album, his first solo was a banger, man. I had that album and I bumped the hell out of it. And and he has a World So Cruel song it was actually a pretty hit single. It's really interesting. It's like that song "If I Could Teach the World." It's kind of like similar like that. But
Yeah.
I really liked Flesh. But Busy was like my favorite from the get. But um, I didn't care for Crazy, but I have to give Ashes credit for it because he was the one that he had a couple of crazy solo albums that got me into him. And it sucks because those albums you can't get them digitally now. You can only find them like on YouTube. And like Thug Mentality, that was his first album. That was like one of the most underrated albums too. He had everybody on that album, from Mariah Carey to Big Pun. Like he worked with artists from east to west coast, and it was a double disc. And I mean, so I gained his respect, and then like I said, Lazy too as a solo artist, I got into him more too. So it's kind of hard to say, I kind of like them all, but
I mean, they definitely. I mean, we come from a group. You know what I'm saying? So we understand how each member definitely has their role and their importance in the group. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that too, and it's hard to not like respect all of them and appreciate all of them.
yeah.
And for me, I kind of judge them a lot like how you did, Doge, where Busy, at least at first. Maybe it was because of his high pitched voice or something. Maybe that was it. You know what I mean? Because as far as speed goes, Crazy and Busy are neck and neck, if you ask me. I don't know who's really faster. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Busy appears to be faster because of his high pitch, I think. You know what I mean? Or higher
Yeah.
tone. But anyway, I think that sticks out right away and it kind of grabs you. But the deep melodic nature that fucking Crazy has, and that he fucking has a lot of stuff with other people, like a lot of versatility like that, that kind of puts him in a different category too. So as far as like a single person's creativity, Busy seems to be dope. But as far as like a well-rounded artist, that works with other people, like the whole package, I think Crazy. I don't know, man. It's kind of hard. It's so hard to fucking judge it. But Busy's always
For
kind of
me,
guy that was my guy also. So I got to go with Busy too.
I like them both. I just think that Crazy and Lazy's dope too. His verse in a few songs is dope as hell. But Crazy, I feel like I like his voice, that deepness to his voice. You know what I mean? It just makes it sound harder, especially with the melodic. They all are dope for their own different sounds. You know what I mean? That's what
Right,
makes it dope is their melodic with their
Hey, I'll be
rhythm.
right back.
right on, Doge.
All right.
All right, go ahead, keep on, Grim.
But you know what I mean? Like I felt like that's what I liked about them. Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's harmony. The music was so different because it wasn't just them spitting, and it's about making it flow. You know what I mean? Even
exactly.
never really rapped with you guys and stuff. I did hang out a lot, but I understood the whole
Yeah,
music aspect. I played trumpet, things like that. But I'm just saying, like the flow, it's more like, you know what I mean?
like
Instead
waves.
of just a
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like
exactly. And that's what was awesome, because they could have that rapid fire, blah, 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 you know what I mean? And behind it, you could have some of these dudes almost like doo-wop style doing some other shit with that melodic waves of rhythm. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like all of that combined, like on a chorus, fucking insane, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that was very, very inspirational for me as far as like my own songwriting or my own musicality is. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to incorporate all that kind of stuff. And when I would listen to Bone as I even got a little older, yet I would start to kind of study some of that a little bit more, because Doja's not here right now, but because we came from a group. So I started to see things that they did as a group and how they would like, you wouldn't see weaknesses because you wouldn't hear you wouldn't be exposed to that. They were all each giving you their couple hits, and that's all you needed. You know what I mean? So like, it was cool to see how they played off of each other and how those rhythms that they would come with could be intertwined like doo-wop and like some old jazz or blues. You know what I mean? To where they incorporated nice melodies in with that hard style and the gangster shit on top of it. Like, just the whole package made it cool as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The
So
braid thing, that whole West Coast style with the flannels, the khakis, all that stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of people took on that style, and then, like you said in your first interview show about the fifth element of hip hop
yep,
style.
exactly. Thank you for that call back as well, because I agree, bro. If they had the same everything else, but they didn't look the same, like if they didn't have the same style that they had, I wonder. I wonder if it would have been exactly the same, the same turnout. You would like to think that the talent would speak for itself, but a lot of times it's a lot more about the presentation too. You know what I mean? And to see these dudes gangster with it, with the braids, and like you said, with the flannels and the khakis and that whole West Coast type of flavor, that LA style, you know what I'm saying? It made you pay attention, and I wonder if it would have been the same any other way.
It was good cruising music, good smoking music. I mean, you
Well,
know,
our boy's not here right now, but that was something I would like to get into, because Bone, a lot like Snoop Dogg, you know what I mean, is heavily associated with the cannabis culture. You know what I'm saying? So Doja needs to hurry the fuck up so we could have our Drummond of the week and we
yeah.
can get on with the story. You know what I'm saying? But until then, here's to your boy.
I know. So, definitely something that they're very big on. You know, they did the ecstasy song. They did a couple weed songs too. You know, like
Well, I picked one for one of our songs at the end of the show. But yeah, they're known for him from the Next Friday movie. They had the one there, and they had
no.
one.
Next Friday was busy, and Friday was bone.
Oh,
Excuse me.
okay. You're right. Which Bone one was it on the first one?
That's
Do you
the small
remember?
one. I just can't remember the name of it off the top of my head because now I got that busy one stuck in my head. For the
Hey,
weed
welcome back.
heads and the weed heads.
I was trying to find.
So check it out. You came just in time for the Drummond of the Week. So
eh,
get your
I was-
shit. And today I'm fucking with some tropical runts from our homies at Skunked. Go check them out. Go check out my people there. They will hook you up.
I'm smoking Brittany's frozen lemons with my own hash chunks I added on the outside.
That was nasty.
And I got Stragana.
Straw
Or whatever. Stragana. You,
guava. One I had last
yeah,
time.
that's what it is. No,
Oh, yeah.
some pink lemonade or something.
I
I
got a
also have straw guava. I just finished it. That's a good one. Well, here's to you again.
Not working.
It never freaking works for me. See? Well, apparently that's only 4 thumbs up.
And
All right,
that
I was gonna tell you.
and
I
that.
went looking for it real quick, but I'll find it and I'll show you guys later. But I ordered when the Art of War came out, I ordered some stuff from them, and they sent me a picture with their autographs. So I actually have all of Bones autographs and stuff from the
Hell yeah.
Art of War era.
Fuck yeah.
But I have it here still, but I don't know where it's at. And then
Oh,
I was like, why didn't I think about that before the show, man?
it's
But
all right. Like I said,
I'll
we'll
find it.
read. But with that has been our Dromant of the week.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
back to the story we were just getting into. That's what brought us into the Dromant, is we were getting into how, just like how Snoop Dogg is closely associated with cannabis culture, so is Bone. And a lot of their music reflected that. So we were talking about how in the Friday movies they had a presence. And do you remember in the first Friday if they had a song in it?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either, but Grim and I were talking about it because I thought they had a song in the second one, but he reminded me it was just Busy. They had one in
Yeah,
the
it's
second.
the Weed Man or something like that. The Weeds, yeah. And it was just solo by Busy. Yeah.
Isn't it like Friday or something like that? Isn't that what it's called?
Oh yeah, I think it might be called that.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
it.
know. But yeah, but it was Busy solo.
No doubt. So as we get further into the story, in about 2001, that's when they first started having their own solos, and Busy kind of was starting to have some problems, and he wasn't really doing some stuff. Or actually, he was out in a couple more years, but that's when things first started showing because he wasn't getting paid, and I guess he was upset about it all, and they started having some friction. But this is, like I said, when they first started doing solos, besides Flesh in '96. But Busy came out with The Gift in '01. Lazy came out as Alberna with Thug by Nature, and Crazy came out with Thug on the Line. Of those 3 solos in that year, which one would y'all pick as the one that really made the most impact? Excuse me.
That's just hard. Fuck.
It's hard to pick
But
just one, but if you were
probably,
to only pick
probably
just
Busy. Did you say The Gift?
The Gift.
Yeah, easily. But that Lazy Bones album we're talking about has a song called "Listen" on there. That's
Mhm.
probably one of the realest songs and videos out there. And he was predicting that stuff way back then about stuff that's going on legit today. Like it's pretty wild.
And this is Lazy, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Grim? Of,
But
of those 3, which one do you think made the most impact?
Busy.
Busy's album also?
Yeah.
So, like, I obviously, this is around the time, I think, when I was getting exposed. So I didn't really know any of this. I was only really exposed to Busy. So I didn't hear any of that Alberna, and I didn't really hear any of the Crazy up, except for like whatever couple singles he may have had. Because I didn't have that kind of contact, I guess, with it at that point. You know what I'm saying? So The Gift for me, that's the one, bro, where I still to this day, like I bumped a lot of that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? The that oh you'll never grow. The army's on set. How does it feel that way? The army's on that shit, bro. That shit was on repeat for fucking years in my shit, it seems like. You know what I mean? That song alone just kind of like for me set Busy apart. And I don't know why. Look, it shows you thinking or something, Doge. Did you see that? That was
what the
tight.
hell?
Look, there it goes again.
Oh, hey, what the
That's tight.
fuck, dude? Get down,
Yeah,
thing.
crazy ass shit. Anyway, that's the one, like I said, for me that kind of set Busy apart for me. So as far as the impact is made, for me personally, that's the one that made the most impact for me. And still to this day, that album kind of holds a higher esteem for me than the other 2. And I've since heard the other 2, but at the time I hadn't. You know what I mean? So anyway, What are your guys' thoughts on Wish? And did he ever come out with a solo? Did you guys see that in any of your research? Because I didn't see it in mine.
No.
So
I
what do you?
think he came out with a solo song on maybe one of the other Thug, like the Thug Family albums. I think about that might be about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did want to get into a supposed curse that Bone carried.
Oh, really?
So
You gotta hear this.
you know that they did their song with Easy, then he passed away. They did their song with Pac, and he passed away. And they
Oh,
did their with Biggie, he passed away, and people started saying that Bone had a curse on him, and then Mariah Carey did her song with him, and that's what basically.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but then you said, and then Mariah Carey, and I was like, oh shit. But go ahead.
Oh no, that was it. That's what they said was the end of it, basically.
Did you know about this supposed curse, Doge?
Well, somewhat. So,
This is where we need the sound effects. We're gonna
this
up
where they
someday, bro.
you
And
know
that's
they have Mr. They say that they sold their souls for fame and all that, and that's how why they did that Mr. Ouija songs, and especially on the first album, that was well, not the first album, but the Creeping on the Come Up. That's why they put that in there with the Ouija and stuff. And then like in East 1999, they wrote this huge ass paragraph that you actually have to look in the mirror and read it backwards and stuff. And that's supposedly like kind of like satanic stuff too. And then like there's just like a lot of like symbolism and stuff like that around them too. That's kind of like weird. And then I mean the Crossroads songs was about close people that died too to them. I miss my Uncle Charles, and that was a guy that was like a father figure to them. And yeah, it gets a little wild, like, cause you see a lot of similarities and deaths around them. Like, damn, dude, it's kind of wild. So you
well,
never know.
well, I was definitely waiting for you to get back to get into some of that because that's another big aspect of what Bones' whole character and their persona has kind of evolved from. And there's a lot of lore around a lot of these conspiracy type things about their dark nature. And the Ouija stuff, like you were saying, on its own, bro. Um, that definitely started this whole subculture almost of like this crazy demonic rap. I don't know if it started it, but I know it definitely helped perpetuate some of it. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit kind of was getting a little weird. I heard some underground shit that I was like, whoa, that's deep, bro, hella deep. So
I feel
that
like
whole
what
They
Brother Lynch hung. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
no. Eshans was the first one to do all that way back in the day. Then birthed all of those little babies.
so what do you call it? Is that the hardcore rap or what is that called?
Yeah, no, acid rap. That's what
Acid
he
rap.
invented to stop. But he was the
Yeah,
one that was
but
talking.
Brother Lynch came out in 80. What was it? 88. His first album, uh,
I don't know.
24 Deep.
I don't know if
Like
it was
I
that
want, I
late or
want,
that
I
early.
want to say Eshan's albums were in the '80s too, and then he was doing it in Detroit. He just said it on another interview. He said it on this interview that he recently did. I'll have to find it and show you.
It
But
says
I mean,
brother.
who knows who was first? You know what I mean?
It
Because
says Brother
brother,
Lynch is described as the creator of horrorcore rap.
yeah. So that horrorcore is different, but like Eshan was like the first one, like be rapping off the devil and like kind of like. Well, I don't know if he was the first one, but he was rapping some weird stuff like back in the day.
And the first album I see released for Lynch is in '95. But I know he had earlier releases with Black Market in '93. It says he was signed. Um,
Brother Lynch had some. Didn't Tech Nine had Brother Lynch signed to him for a little bit, or maybe he still is.
No.
no, he's not
Oh,
anymore, but he
hey,
was for a little bit. But
speaking of
X-Rated is
brother,
signed to their label now.
speaking of Brother Lynch, for Brother Lynch fans out there, he just dropped Season of the Sickness 2, which was like one of his dopest albums. And this part 2 is fucking
It was.
badass. And
Thank you for mentioning that because I'm actually going to be doing a review with the Martian. For those that are fans of my music, they know who the Martian is. My homie Norm Marsh. We're gonna have little shorts, little reviews, little vicious reviews. So be ready for all that, yo. Anyway, yeah, beyond that shit, have you listened to that whole album, that Lynch one?
yeah, it's badass. It's some of his best shit, man.
Yeah,
Really,
so
yeah.
from Doge. I'm excited to hear it because I haven't listened to it yet. I gotta peep
But
it out.
getting back to what Grim was saying, when he was signed on Tech Nine's label, dude, he dropped some tight albums. And they were like storyline, like Dinner and a Movie, like it went through like a whole story and everything. Like they were pretty genius, honestly.
Sweeney Todd was so sick.
It was called Dinner in a Movie, right? The first one he did. So
No, but that
Yeah,
song Sweeney Todd,
I didn't hear it. I need to peep it out.
so sick.
yeah.
Well, so to get back to Bone, along with some of that crazy horrorcore style and whatnot, they also kind of had some beefs right in the beginning
Oh,
too
that's
with
you
some
just
of.
you just read
Go
my
ahead.
mind.
Well, go ahead. Let's get into it. What do you remember?
Hey, so they beefed with like Crucial Conflict, 3 6 Mafia, Do or Die, um, Wu Tangs, supposedly, like mostly all the groups basically, and then and all the Death Row beef they inherited with Easy E too. So hey, but there's
True.
this funny story. I think his name is Jay Prince or something like that. He was the owner of Rap a Lot or something that they were beefing with Do or Die, his label. But they said that Busy Bone drove down there from Cleveland with the trunk full of guns, ready to go shoot those fools up. And like that guy met him in the parking lot. I was like, this fool was like strapped, armed to his teeth and stuff, ready to take on an army. And I was like, damn. But that's how crazy those fools are always.
Hey, Prince,
Hey,
he's the mafia rap.
yeah. Well, he runs a lot of stuff too, but
He's the
I
one
don't.
who squashed the beef between Pusha T and Drake because Drake's his boy. That's his moneymaker. So a lot of people who step to Drake, usually their beefs get squashed by Jay Prince. That's
Yeah,
also
that dude's been-
squashed the between Birdman and Weezy.
yeah. Jay Prince has been around for a long time, bro. He fucking he's related to somebody. I thought, isn't he somebody's brother? I can't remember,
Uh,
who it was, man.
I don't know.
God, I wish we had some of our other expert
Yeah,
T homies on hand right now. But again, this is another reason to revisit. So anyway, the next album they dropped was in '02, and it was called Thug World Order. And Grim, I wanted to ask you, since we're big wrestling dudes, you know what I'm saying? Do you feel like there's some kind of an influence there? Because I think it's plain as day.
well, remember at
What?
the time you had Master P and the No Limit joined wrestling. You had ICP join wrestling. There was a lot of musical groups getting involved in wrestling at the time during the Monday Night Wars.
Yep, absolutely. And you know that masterpiece shit, now that you mentioned that, that was dope to me, bro. I know a lot of people think it was a flop, and I know a lot of our wrestling audience and whatnot, you know, they would probably feel that way. But I was fond of it, bro. I thought that shit was tight as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I was a big No
We,
Limit dude. So at that time to
we,
see Conan and Rey Mysterio involved, shit, I was with it.
we,
I thought it
we
was
should
dope.
we should do one on Master P in the future because I was a big No Limit head too.
He's on
I
our
actually
list, actually.
I actually still bump Master P.
TRU,
Yep.
TRU, not
I
Green
always just
Man.
I like that. I always feel like someone watching me.
Yep. That shit's all tight, bro. He's definitely
And
in our
he's
hat of artists.
he's tight too because like I talk about it all the time. There's like a few artists that have done it like independently and kind of were like slanging shit out their trunk and like like kind of just doing that shit on their own. Like get like when he dropped his first movie on Bout It, was like all grainy and like it was like shot with like a homemade camera, but this fool was like selling the shit out of it, and
Yep.
like So that to me is like inspiring because it's like that's what I am. That's what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like
Album
we're
covers.
yeah. You know, like yeah, yeah. You know,
They're,
straight
they're
hustling.
definitely in the whole No Limit thing is in our Master P as an artist and No Limit as a labels in our hat of artists that we have to do profiles on. So soon enough we'll get
Yeah.
into that for sure. But as far as their beefs go, I was unaware of some of the beefs that you mentioned there. You want to elaborate on some of that, like Wu Tang and there was somebody else you said the Do or Die. I don't remember a Do or Die beef with Bone.
Oh, dude, they got some tight tracks too. Busting Back, by Do or Die.
Huh?
They name drop them all kinds in that song and they tear it
Yeah.
up. And then um Bone, the whole Art of War album was pretty much dedicated to everybody, but they didn't really drop anybody's names. But you know, it
Yeah,
was
like
kind of
they were always doing that, like me against the world kind of thing, you know. So like
yeah,
I didn't know, you know, as a Bone fan, I didn't really know of some of these other beefs. But the 3-6 one, once I got into high school, I had some homies that were big 3-6 fans, and then that's when I started getting some of that influence. So they kind of put me on as to what was happening.
and and like a couple years ago, they were on a rap show.
Versus.
Yeah, yeah, and they got into it on there too, you know. So it's like I guess
So,
that feud
Yeah, but we gotta
that
do three
so
six too, because I'm a three
oh
six
yeah.
and Project Pat guy too.
Well that's another one that Dro's an expert on.
there you go. There you go. See, so Joe, you
Thanks
need
a
to be in
lot, Dro.
the sixth episode, and you need to
I'm
help us out because we're
I'm
very misinformed about a lot of the shit here, my brother.
Dro. You're
But I
making
got
it
that in my
you're make
notes about that versus battle. Does it work? Does it do? Oh, there's the rain.
yeah, Dro. You're making it rain on us because you're not coming through. Damn you, Dro.
Damn. But about that versus battle, I have in my notes that Busy was actually escorted off the stage for throwing a bottle at Juicy J. And then he came back, he returned, apologized, and finished the show without incident. I got.
He's off. Did you guys see that?
I didn't see it. No, I need to check this shit
So
out.
hey, we're talking about them wiling out. Busy Bone still be wiling out. So they got in that beef with the Migos, you know, and
Yeah,
all of them got into it like crazy, lazy. They all dropped fucking tracks. Busy. They called the cops on Busy. He's playing with an Elmer Fudd shotgun on live and shit. He gets arrested, and this just happened like a few years back, and then yeah, and then you have that shit on the stage, Busy wiling out. You know, he's like, "You ugly motherfuckers, they can mock me," because they were singing that Buddha Lover, and it's
uh,
and like I was listening, checking out the interview, and they were like, it's supposed to be like verses, like so. Why would they put like a slow song against them? You know, they should have been putting like better songs. But then yeah, and then they were all dancing. That shit was so funny. And then Busy, you like my fucking me, you ugly motherfucker. And then
damn.
that's when I
Check
stopped
that shit
listening to
out.
Busy Bone because I said, fucking drama queen.
And I honestly, I gotta apologize to the audience because the last couple of weeks, I feel like I have not been as prepared with some of this research and some of these things like as I should be. So I apologize, and I promise I'll do better in the future because I should have watched some of this shit already. I've had a few situations where I had the opportunity to and I didn't take it. So I regret it because I don't know anything that Dozer's talking about right now, and I wish I did.
Oh, I
I heard
know.
about some of it.
And in the future, we'll probably for the audience, we'll be have computers in front of us and we'll look up everything and fact check ourselves.
But I had heard a rumor. Don't quote me on it being a fact, but I had heard the rumor that the reason why Bone probably won't get back together again is because when Crazy shot Flesh or
Wish?
Wish,
No,
yeah.
no, that happened like years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they are together.
But
I think things are good
but
actually. Right
but they are touring and there's only 3 of them right now, which is Lazy, Crazy, and Flesh.
now. Okay.
So I don't know because they're actually gonna go to Denver and then they're doing a show down here in Albuquerque too. So they're on actual like tour and stuff. But
I
it's
thought
all
with that rumor, I had heard that some of the other members weren't comfortable being part of the group anymore after that.
So,
I don't know.
well, tell me what happened with this whole thing here, because you guys have already talked about it twice, and I don't even know what the fucking story is. I never heard this shit about him shooting him.
And that song, he says that they were like wilding out in their younger years, and he shot them like accidental. They were out like driving in a stolen car, and they shot him accidental, and then the cops arrested him and tried to pin it on Crazy, and Wish lied and said that he got shot by some other people, like some other gang members and stuff.
Huh.
And the only thing I ever heard him talk about it really was in that song that I remember. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the song.
I've never heard this, bro. That's crazy. Again, I'm very misinformed or underinformed, so I need to get my shit together. I apologize.
You need to reform yourself.
Reform. Man. So anyway, moving on from that shit, we were just talking about like how, well, not moving on, but to go along with that, you were talking about how there's only some members here. So in our lineage of what we're talking about here, that's about the time when the group started having problems and splitting up. So there's been all kinds of these issues with Bone for a long time, because this is since what, 2001? Busy's out in 02, or I'm sorry, yeah, Busy's out in 02. So they've had fucking problems for 20-some years. They've been in and out of shit, dog. And in between that, they got all these solo projects, side projects together, fucking left and right, bro. Bone's still keeping it active.
What I do remember is that when Crazy first got out of prison after, and I think it was when he got out of prison after the whole shooting thing, that he got with Chameleonaire. That's when he came out with all that stuff.
Oh, okay. When what was that song? You cute see me rolling. That one?
Riding Dirty, isn't it?
Out with his
Yeah,
album.
Riding Dirty. That's it.
The remix to that one was way better though. The white and nerdy.
Yeah, Weird Al. Fucking Weird Al. We got to do an episode on Weird Al someday too. Shit.
Hey, did you guys ever watch his series? That his show about? He tells his story about him.
No, with Harry Potter who played him.
Oh, what? Really?
Yeah, they made a movie or something. It's
on Roku, I think.
Yeah, and the guy Daniel Radcliffe who played Harry Potter, he plays freaking Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
No. I seen the previews for it and I wanted to see it.
There's another one we gotta watch and review.
That's it. That's it.
I've been wanting to watch it too, so I haven't seen it either.
I don't know. I'm looking it up right now. But
hey, calm down over there. You're supposed to act like we don't have computers. Jeez.
We don't have any computers. I'm on a tablet and it's slow as shit. So we're still in the
come on, Tabby.
This is the medieval times right here. You know what I'm saying?
I do have my computer when I'm not at the park, but definitely that's one that I definitely would like to have in front of me, like for our what's that called show.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that's what I got right here. Daniel Radcliffe is Yankovic in January 22. That's when it was announced. So it came out on Roku. Same shit like y'all said. It's got a lot of nominations and it won Best Television Movie at the 75th Primetime Creative Emmys, Creative Arts Emmys. That's pretty cool. Well, anyway, we're coming up to about an hour into our show here, and we were talking about how these guys started having problems and breaking up and whatnot. So the last album they did together as a group, I think, was Thug World Order in 02. So in between that and their next major release was Five.
No. Or didn't they just do the World War what was it? World War III, WW3?
Well, yeah, well, we're getting there though. So in
Oh,
between
Yeah.
02 to the next release that they did as a group together for a major studio was '07. So in that 5 years in between there, they had a bunch of like solo things and smaller label releases in '05 and '06. And then Flesh got out in '08. So the group actually reunited just in time for his release at the time. And in 2010 is when they finally came out with Unifive, The World's Enemy. And that's when they all five came together for an album together. And they also got reunited with DJ Unique, who was the producer from the very beginning. So up until the early 2010s, it seemed like they didn't have a whole lot as a group together. That's when they were doing most of their beefs. So in 2014, um, they had all kinds of bullshit from this album that they were trying to drop. And I guess, I don't know if you guys had read this at all, but I saw something where there was this album that they were going to auction off a single copy of it for the bidding started at $1 million for their next album. And that was going to be the only release of it. And like there was this whole kind of media thing about it for a while.
Wu-Tang, I thought, and that
yeah.
maybe
Well,
one douchebag bought that album just to destroy it. That one rich guy.
Is that what happened? Really?
that was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah,
Yeah, Wu-Tang did that
some rich guy fucking bought the Wu-Tang album.
just
Yeah,
to
and just
destroy it. The world
yeah,
could
just
hear it, just so he could be a dick because everyone calls him a dick.
Wow, that's insane, bro. I never heard of that shit at all.
dude,
Don't tell- no,
you should look that beef up. It's so funny. Like those fools went back and forth and everything. They're like doing like talking shit videos. It was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I
That's
asked
crazy.
someone from Wu about it. I don't remember who, if it was the group, but what they had said is that as far as they're concerned, the guy paid his money for it. It is what it is. That's what it was up for bid for anyone to do what they wanted with it. If that's what he decided to do, he purchased the right to it so he could do whatever he wants.
Damn, that's a trip, bro. Crazy shit. So, what do you guys remember about any of this shit with this album, this Bone album?
The Unify?
No, no, it was after that. This is 2017. Eventually, there was an album that came out called New Waves, but this one was the one that took forever for them to actually do something with.
But what's
It,
it
it,
called?
it supposedly had that fucking whole that whole campaign for the auction with it. That's the one that I saw, and then they
Oh,
decided,
I don't know what album that was.
you
Yeah, I
guys
mean,
never heard that one. I never heard it either. I never heard none of those older ones like that.
Because the latest one I heard though was that World War III one I was talking about with all of them, and that album was actually pretty tight. They have a song on there and a video called "Determination," which is like a really good inspiration song. It's pretty tight.
well, I also want to bring up, since we brought up their other movie songs, they wrote that song for the Batman and Robin movie. That "Look Into My
I did have
Eyes,"
Oh,
the two versions of it.
well, on "Days of Our Lives," that song was sick, and that was from the "Set It Off" soundtrack, and they did a video and all that to that, and that's still one of my favorite jams. And they also did the Great White Hype, and they did a song called "Shoot 'Em Up," which was on that soundtrack too. But they appeared on quite a few soundtracks.
fuck
That's
yeah.
the few that I know.
That's dope, bro. I don't remember any other ones either, but I'm glad you guys brought that up. I did have one other funny kind of thing. A lot of my stuff is from Wikipedia, so maybe some of this shit is fucked up or maybe it's not. I'm not sure. But this one fucking jumped out right at the end here, and it said in 2020, Bone Thugs announced that they were changing their name to Boneless Thugs in Harmony for a Buffalo Wild Wings promotion. That's what it turned out to be. Did you guys got anything like that?
No, that's funny though.
I didn't see any of this, but I
but
read it.
but I do
Remind me.
know. I do know they do a lot of things locally for the community because I have seen them like go to basketball things and sing like the national anthems and like stuff like that. So it could have been like something that they were doing locally and promoting. So who knows? Because they do a lot of stuff like that, you know.
Hell
So
yeah.
I could see them doing that. That's
No
It
doubt.
hilarious.
reminds me of that Steve Aoki song, Boneless. That dun 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 dun. You ever heard that?
I don't know, and I don't think so.
Rapper, I'm trying to think who it was. They did their own version to the song. They sing over it. I don't remember if it was Trey Songz or who.
You're gonna have to send it to me. I don't really know, my brother. I just thought that was interesting when I pulled it up, bro, and I saw that at the bottom of it. And again, Wikipedia is very, very, debatable. So I don't know, but that's
That's
what
because
it
that's
said.
an open source edit. You know what I mean? Anybody
Yeah.
can go there and edit it and write whatever they want in it. That's
Exactly. Exactly. I'm just hopeful that there's a lot of you out there that like take things seriously and can't have some shit like that unless it's legit. So I'm trusting y'all. I'm trusting a lot of y'all that do that shit. So hopefully. Did you guys see any of this shit last year with
I was
Craig
just
in the hospital?
I was just gonna tell you, you can trust in me if I can trust in you.
I actually did hear that Crazy was in the hospital.
Yeah, I was sharing all kinds of stuff for him. They had to like clone him and stuff.
They had to what?
Nothing, nothing, nothing.
What's that
he,
called?
he's out and alive now. Yeah, I mean he's doing good.
Well,
He's doing interviews and stuff.
He's always got to take it there, don't he? And there you go. See, fucking. Damn. Now they're
Doesn't work.
switching it up. See, y'all, the Dro Bros keep you guessing all the time. Clearly.
Look at
So
that guy.
anyway, so what I have in my notes here is that he was coughing up blood in his sleep.
Fuck. Did
in
you
late,
guys see that? I wasn't even touching my phone.
huh?
Did you see me disappear?
We did.
The
Yeah.
government.
It's,
Government.
I said the C word, bro. Fuck.
They silenced you already.
Yes.
Fuck.
Eh.
So he was coughing up blood in his sleep in late September, and they had him hospitalized. And how do you pronounce this here, Grim? Sarcoidosis?
Oh,
Sarcoidosis?
so, what is it? Psori, so,
I'm pretty
psoriasis or some stuff, something like that. Psoriasis.
Yeah, but and they had to do an emergency surgery that was unsuccessful. And 2 days later, they had him sedated because a main artery in his lung was leaking. So there was all kinds of fucked up shit that was happening. At least that's what it shows here on the Wikipedia thing. And that, like I said, that was late September. That was the 26th. So by October 3rd, they said that he announced that he had already recovered, that things were better. So I don't know what the fuck happened there. We hope you're doing good, Crazy. We hope things are straight. I don't know what the fuck Dozer's talking about, but
On
I'm
that front, that is the same thing I actually heard about it too, Remo. Is that the big rumor about it is that there's this whole agenda that when people refuse to play ball, it doesn't matter because they can just clone you and get rid of you. That's the rumor around that whole situation there because he was kind of
Jamie
a
Foxx.
loose cannon. No, that's the rumor I heard about it too. You know what I mean? So if we're talking rumors, that's what I heard.
we're not talking rumors. So first of all, look at you two chopping at the bit. This is the Joe Brothers. Take it easy.
Oh shit. Dude.
Well, that's the only thing I've ever heard about it. You know what I mean? To be honest, is that anything I heard surrounding that was that was at the point where they got rid of him, cloned him, and put him out.
They
Damn.
I hear and see this often a similar thing like that with like celebrities and stuff. But like the way I ask everybody is like, hey dude, if you're rich and all that and they had the access to do that, I'd be sending my clone to 10 different jobs. If you guys seen my latest movie, I I cloned myself in it. So
But
like,
the
I'm like, yeah, cause like who knows? You know what I mean? You know,
well, and it's a
I
but
mean,
part of our culture now because even the biggest rapper that got associated with it, Gucci Mane, he freaking breaks the fourth wall and he sings about the Gucci clones in a few of his songs. You know what I mean?
yeah,
oh, like in all honesty, like this isn't what I mean that other show. But to be honest with you, like I have always felt like there's some shit, you know what I mean, that these fools are doing because you see, you see to us, you know what I mean? You see things that are like obvious changes or obvious manipulations or something, you know what I mean?
But you can't
And
deny the fact that look at R. Kelly, look at P. Diddy, look at the stuff going on. The rumors that have come out about sexual A words and things of that nature and rituals and things like that, you know what I mean, that involve children. A lot of these things have come out for years about from rappers, rock stars, actors. So, I mean, beyond what people are saying is beyond them, there is clearly something that is not right.
damn, they silenced you, bro. Damn. Dang.
oh shit. Hey, so because speaking of them being off a little, back to Crazy Bone. He did an interview on DJ Ballad before that thing went down where he got sick and stuff, where he was legit like picking his nose and eating his boogers, which is a humiliation ritual, and it was like I watched a Christian break it down, and he was showing me all the different clips of what he was doing in that interview, and it was all like ritualistic, and I was like, what? That's kind of wild. And then yeah, and then all of a sudden he got like sick, and then and then like I said, it's like, hey, if you don't play along, you know what I mean, buddy, you better play along.
Same thing. So basically, a Christian broke down the one of the last interviews Tupac did, and him and Snoop are sitting together. And when Tupac calls out the stuff that went on behind the scenes, so Jones's spot where he was asking to, sleep with him, and he's also talked about the stuff Dre was doing in the studio with his bisexual nature, and they're saying that Snoop makes a hand gesture and a face, and he looks all like you know what I mean? And they said that's him basically trying to tell Pac you're breaking the code of speaking
Yeah,
about public, and it's crazy, dude.
like
Like I said, there's clearly something going on.
Damn. This episode took a far left turn.
um hey, one movie we gotta watch and do it real soon is They Cloned Tyrone, and that will open a whole nother thing and like about all what we're saying. For all the people out there too that are curious, watch that movie. It's on Netflix. And after Jamie Foxx did that movie, he suddenly got sick.
Oh yeah, there's about
I,
that on Jay Shay.
I personally do not like opening things. So these dudes, fuck, fuck.
But anyways, Bone Thugs and Harmony, they have what's your favorite song?
Yeah, let's get into our songs.
We need to break down the songs because
I
we're running out of time, people.
Yeah.
don't even like them anymore. I'm quitting the show.
I want
It's
to
done.
start with my first favorite song is East 1999 because they just come off all sick and rap all legit, and those are one of the lyrics I studied, and yeah, pretty tight.
So my first song, Thug Love, because I was watching this documentary of Tupac, and he was saying how they ended up doing that song because he ended up running into them, and they thought they had beef with each other because of what Remo had mentioned earlier about the whole they inheriting the death row beef. And when Pac seen him, he was like, "Oh man, I love your shit. Uh, the Crossroads is what got me through prison." They're like, "Oh, really? We love all your shit." And so they're like, "We should do a song together." And then they ended up doing a song together shortly after that. I think he said like within a month.
I saw that they were supposed to do a song with him on a previous album, but it wasn't something they were able to do. So Thug Love actually came out on something later or whatever. I wonder if they ever did do something else with Pac.
Um,
I wonder if that's the only
they
thing they ever did.
Busy Bone did. Busy Bone has the song called Confessions with Tupac. But
Oh,
I was gonna touch more about before they did the Thug Life. There's a funny story that Busy Bone tells that he was out there trying to get him in contact with Pac, and chase him down here, chase him down here at this club, just trying to get in contact. He gets in contact, and Busy or Tupac goes up to him. He's like, "Damn, bro, hey, you need anything? What's up? Like, hey, I gotta do this and this. I'll be done in an hour. But what do you need?" So Busy was like, "Some weed, bro." So he said, Pac had him a fat ounce of some good Cali Chronic and shit. He's like, I was high as fuck when I met Pac, and then he had more blunts, and he's like, we got so smoked out, we flew out, got in the studio, and they said it was just like a cool thing with like meeting Pac, that he was just like a real cool ass dude, like just like giving, just real giving and shit.
oh yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad they had that kind of an interaction. Do
And
you?
they also have a Thug Love Part Two too, but it's one of those rare tracks. And man, that's why I'll try. I want to bug Dro a little bit, but that's why I want to know too, because he probably has those tracks.
No
The
doubt.
Thugs
No doubt.
Cry remix where they did with Busy and Pac, that was a dope one too. I seen your son in
Yeah,
the background.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, that shit was tight. That fucking that beat on that Thug Love, that boom, boom. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That shit was fucking
uh,
infectious, bro.
that
That
shit
shit was
was hard
tight
as
to
hell.
rap over for sure.
right.
What my first song was the Bad Weed Blues was the one that I chose for my first
That's.
song.
I thought that was hilarious that you picked that song.
Well, honestly, I expected one of y'all to at least pick a weed song, and then had to get something that was like kind of. It was tough for me because I had to do a weed song, and then it was like I had to do something that was either like gangster as fuck or like hella deep. You know what I'm saying? It's like because that's who Bone is to me. They're about weed, they're about gangster shit, and then they're about like hella deep shit. You know what I mean? So that's what I was feeling like I had to choose from. So as far as the weed songs go, bro, there's a lot of weed songs to choose from, and I was like, which ones are these guys gonna pick? You know what I mean? So I didn't know what y'all were gonna choose, and I don't think either one of y'all chose a fucking weed song. So I was like, I need to find one that they probably won't
I
say.
that was like when I first learned how to smoke weed. I used to listen to weed songs, bro.
Ah, I love weed songs
just
still.
just messing people.
Every
So
project
I
I
have a
work on,
story
I
about
have
mine,
weed songs somewhere. We the Drove
but
Bros.
Doja picked one that I really liked.
What? Mo Murdered?
Yep, that's one of my favorite songs ever. I didn't want to pick it because the two that I picked for stories. I picked for the Pac story and his encounter with him, and plus, like I said, the beat's hard as hell, and I love Mo
Uh,
Murder. One of the dopest
hey,
songs ever.
I
um,
like that one a lot too.
yeah, I always like that one. I have the lyrics printed out, but
He shouts out Mr. Ouija in it, and they shout him
yeah,
out a lot of their songs too, going along with that whole thing.
but like those last two songs on that East 1999 album of the Mo Murder and the Shots to the Double Glock. The Shots to the Double Glock, for those who don't know, was like an intro to the Mo Thugs thing that they were setting up the record label with all those people in Cleveland. But man, just the way they all come together and do those songs is just so badass. And that beat on the Mo Murder one, like me, I free. So I have a funny story about it. I gave the track out on SoundCloud, but I freestyled on that beat. But it was one of the first beats that I learned where I could freestyle and I could listen when the beat switches up. I could throw a hook in there real quick. So I would throw people off that I was even freestyling the shit off my head in the first place. And Remo was the first one I tricked with that. and, and I was like, hey, dude, no, that's all freestyle. You're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, buddy, I learned a new like skill, but it was from that beat because I love that song so much and heard it 1,000 times. Yeah, and just the way they rap. I feel like when they were probably doing that album, I don't know if they did it in order, but maybe like those last two songs, they were up in it more. And then another quick side note, they said when they did that creeping on a come up, they're just trying to do something quick and get it out. But when they did the next one, they had time to spend time in the studio. And then they said like when they did the Art of War too, some of them would take an hour just to spit a verse because they were just
Yeah,
trying to perfect everything to make it like at their
right.
peak
So
basically.
that that beat, you know what two movies it reminds me of, and synchronicity perhaps. Tales from the Hood, which is featured with the skull with the gold tooth on the cover, and then you have symbolic of bones, and then
Fuck, that's an
Snoop
old ass
Dogg's
movie.
Bones with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
Synchronicity, maybe.
Damn, that's another old ass movie too.
I like that one.
that
But
was another. That was a weird ass movie.
Snoop Dogg is a vampire, huh? That shit was tight though. I liked it.
Oh man.
the, the reason why my second song, okay, Notorious Thugs, like I said, I have stories for him. So for one, what I said earlier in the podcast about the rumor of the curse behind him, I picked two of those songs. I didn't want to pick the Easy E one because I figured that one is one of their most played songs next to the Crossroads. You know what I mean? And in this one, as you guys know, Remo, you especially, when you met me, I was a strict West Coast dude. I only
Yeah,
listened to West Coast rap. Outside of that, it was Wu Tang, if it or DMX, right? Really, I didn't fuck with anybody on the East Coast. And you were the one who tried to talk me into giving Biggie a chance.
Wu
And
Tang.
I always like that song, Notorious Thugs. And that was actually one of the first songs that I really liked that Biggie did. And it wasn't until I was 21 years old I really started giving other East Coast rap a chance because before that I was strictly just West Coast. You know, I was big on that whole pop Biggie stuff, and I definitely took a side. And you know,
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Um, that song for me, bro. As far as like the Pac song and then the Biggie song, I feel like the Biggie song is kind of the tighter one. You know what I mean? The Notorious Thugs. Like that shit is just fucking so catchy. And get high and get high and get high. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole fucking thing is so tight, bro. And as much as I was saying how dope the Pac beat was, it was very repetitious, bro. It was the same loop. You know what I mean? Pretty much throughout the whole thing. The fucking the Notorious Thugs, bro. That fucking melody in that song is just too tight, bro. The piano in that shit is amazing. So like that
Uh,
one to me is the better one.
um, um, uh, I don't know if it's a second verse or like a remix, but they have another one. Biggie still has the same verse, but Busy has like an extra verse to that Notorious Thug song. That's a
Oh, yeah.
rarity out there. I have to figure it out, but it's pretty tight. But yeah, that Notorious Thugs was like probably the first Biggie Smalls that I ever song that I liked. You know, like because I wasn't really a fan of Biggie Smalls,
Yep.
and honestly, like there's only like a few songs I really like, but
No doubt.
um,
No.
I'm not like all those other people that when he died, everybody was Biggie fans all of a sudden. I don't
Yeah.
do that shit.
Well, so
sorry
before he died,
to the George Clinton, you can't see me because that's what I keep thinking Remo's shirt says.
it's actually a John Cena shirt. John Cena. You can't stop me. Anyway,
Hey,
we only got about 5 minutes left, and I wanted to get into something that you just said for a second. Oh fuck, but I lost it. You were saying what, Doge, right now?
um, what was that? I don't know. Let me rewind it.
Oh. I remember. You were talking about the Biggie song. But you know how you talked about the Columbia House or whatever? I did one through another one called BMG or something like that. Do you guys remember
Oh
that one?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I did one through there, and I actually got the Biggie album, the Life After Death album, and that was my first Biggie album, and I got it through one of those kind of things, bro. And that shit was tight for me. That was my first exposure to Biggie, and it was
That
dope.
was it. That was the one he dropped the double album, wasn't it? And he died.
That's the one that came out after he died, though. You know what I mean? That Life After
Yeah.
Death.
Oh,
It was a
Life
double album,
After Death. Ah, I got it.
right? Right.
Hey, oh, and another thing, shot back to that Crazy Bone Thug Mentality, like when he worked with everybody, was a Big Pun. That was another legendary fucking rapper that Bone worked with, and they were like homies with that fool and shit.
Yeah, Pun is the dopest. He's like, I always talk about my top four. Pun is always like in that rotating fifth. You know what
I
I mean?
still,
Because he's that dope.
I still be bumping him all the time.
And oddly enough, Busy's also in that rotating fifth for me. You know what I mean? So definitely cool that we brought up both of them. But for my last
Pun
song,
put a
now we're
few people over.
I'm sorry, what?
I just said Pun put a few people over, but go ahead.
Yeah, he did for sure. We're coming down to our last couple of minutes here. So just quickly, I want to say my last one was If I Could Teach the World. We didn't really touch on it a whole lot in the episode, but Bone definitely had this thing about them where they almost like would help uplift the hood. They were very like with Crossroads, like they carried a lot of the heaviness, a lot of the weight with that song, because that song got a lot of, like you said, Pac said or whatever, got a lot of people through some tough times, that song. And then
Yeah.
like there's a lot of their other shit like that. So to me, it's definitely important to give them their respect as far as like trying to lead and be spiritual also. Go ahead, Doge.
They there was a lot of controversy about that song. They got their plays blocked and like kicked out of like songs aren't allowed to play in countries and stuff. Like there was a lot of like bad negative feedback on that song because of the positive message that they were actually trying to put out through that song. So it's kind of a
Are you
trip.
are you talking about Crossroads?
No, if I could teach the
Oh, if
world.
I could teach the world. Really? I
Yeah,
didn't
because
know.
like the real version's like it's like almost like an 8 minute movie and shit. Like it's
Okay.
pretty long, and then they had to shorten it down and edit stuff out because it was like a real, the elite don't want that stuff out there. You know, they're like, hey, that positive stuff. Hey, you guys are spreading messages and shit. Hey,
Right.
calm down. Hey. You
I
be
mean,
gotta rap about that thug stuff. Shoot motherfuckers. Not if you could teach the world to be a thug in harmony.
that kind of sounds like that's the
Hey,
tone of the whole thing.
real quick, we didn't bring up one of the coolest songs that they did and the coolest stories was with Phil Collins. They remade
Home.
what home, and they said Phil Collins was like, yeah, sure, but if you guys want to make a music video, you got to fly out here and we could shoot the video. So then they said they were all psyched. They asked their record label, and then the record label gave them the okay. So they flew out to over there where Phil Collins was, and they shot the video with him.
Hell yeah. That's fucking tight,
So
bro. I'm glad you brought that song up and told that story because I love that song. Who else has a fucking song with Phil Collins in hip hop? And they have that one with Sade too. That Mama Been Native. You know what I mean?
Hey, and real quick too. Oh, go ahead, Grim.
no, go ahead.
Um,
We
that
got like
other
1 minute.
that other song, what Draw Motion, or slow mo, or you did yeah,
We
the
did
way they
flow motion.
yeah, the way they did that song, man, that shit was tight, bro. Like that, and that was another good banger that
Hell yeah.
they did.
Well, with that, we're out of time, and I'm glad we kind of ended it on Bones positivity because it was getting kind of grim, and that was
Ah,
a nice way for us to pull it out of it because Bone were very positive for me in my life, especially a lot of those songs, those deep tracks are what resonate with me still, and I know they're the same with a lot of y'all. So, with that, thank y'all for listening to Dro Bro Show episode 15. Dro Bros out, and peep out our other tracks, subscribe, peep out our other shows. Peace.
check
Bye.
out all the pages. So Doja, we out. One love. Peace out.
Peace. Thank you, everybody, for peeping out the Dro Bro Show. Please don't forget to follow on all socials for all three of us and subscribe.